And so we're gonna start it off, and so David Brown is here. We'll start with David Brown for the first 5 minutes, please.
Thank you. Good morning. My name's Dave Brown. I'm a longtime realtor in Whistler, British Columbia. I'm here today to discuss the Underused Housing Tax on behalf of the Whistler Real Estate Association, which is made up of about 150 realtors, as well as Tourism Whistler, which is a non-for-profit tourism organization representing 8,000 members whose tourist-zoned property on resort lands in Whistler, noting that Tourism Whistler CEO Barrett Fisher is out of the country, so was unable to testify today. Whistler is requesting that all tourist-zoned accommodation with restricted use covenants on title be exempt from the UHT. Within the provincially legislated Resort Municipality of Whistler Act, incorporated in 1975, all lands located at the base of Whistler's 2 mountains, 3 golf courses, were designated resort lands for the purpose of generating vibrant tourist economy for the community, which has been very successful. Whistler has grown into a global tourist destination, generating more than $2 billion in annual visitor spending, approximately $700 million in tax revenues, while supporting more than 3,000 businesses and 15,000 jobs. As stipulated within the official community plan, accommodation properties located on resort lands have covenants on title, Phase 1 or Phase 2, confirming their required tourist usage. As well, property owners on resort lands must pay a mandatory annual tourism assessment fee to support Whistler's tourist economy, including destination development, marketing, and sales initiatives. From Whistler's earliest stage, the resort has encouraged both domestic and international investment to build hotels, condominiums, townhouses, and houses for tourist rentals, providing a breadth of accommodation choices for diversity of visitors who come to enjoy Whistler's outdoor recreation, cultural offerings, and commercial amenities. Approximately 80% of Whistler's tourist accommodation is owned by individual investors who put their hotel, condominium, or housing units into a tourist rental pool to support Whistler's visitor economy. The new federal UHT penalizes those investors who have supported Whistler's tourist economy and contributed to its long-term success. Internationally, owners typically use their property 1 to 2 weeks a year, but then put their property into a rental pool for the remainder of the year, so the accommodation is not sitting empty, but is being maximized for its intended tourist rental usage, requiring international owners to utilize their properties for a minimum of 28 personal days would therefore remove this accommodation from the tourist rental pool, which is a major concern to hoteliers, property managers, commercial businesses, as owner accommodations usage does not support ground transportation, resort activities, attractions, restaurants, bars, nightclubs, retail shops, spas, and conference facilities to the same level that nightly rental visitors do. Worse, many international accommodation owners are refusing to pay the UHT, so are putting their properties up for sale, thereby taking their units out of the rental pool altogether. These properties would likely be sold to BC residents using these properties as second homes. Of important note, any federal government revenue gained from the UHT will be neutralized by the corresponding loss in GST that would have to be collected from tourist visits. Not only the GST on accommodation rentals, but also on the wide variety of tourism businesses and services that tourists invest in while vacationing in Whistler. The Canada Revenue Agency has deemed any stratified hotel or condominium property with a kitchen to be suitable for residential use, even if this unit is subject to zoning and covenant restrictions that governs the allowable usage. However, this does not make sense, as hotel properties nor their kitchen facilities are appropriate to support year-round residential usage, noting that the covenant restriction on hotel condominiums limits personal usage these units to 28 days in the winter, May through October, and 28 days in the summer, November through April, to support intended tourist rental usage. We appreciate the rationale for taking foreign-owned residential housing that is being underutilized, therefore taking it away from local housing stock. However, this is not the case within the Whistler Resorts Land Zone districts, where purpose-built tourist accommodation is being fully utilized for its intended purpose of nightly vacation rentals. Further to this, Whistler has made a strong commitment to funding and building affordable employee housing within the residential neighborhoods. As the resort municipality of Whistler is exempt from the province of British Columbia's speculation and vacancy tax introduced in 2018 and is exempt from the Government of Canada's prohibition on the purchase of residential property by non-Canadians acts that took it into effect January 1st, 2023, noting that resort municipalities are recognized as purpose-built tourist destinations that generates international export revenues. Whistler therefore respectfully requests that the federal government create an exemption within the underused housing tax legislation for tourist accommodation in the resort municipalities prior to the April 30th, 2024 tax deadline or as soon as possible. Without such an exemption, the economic viability of Whistler's businesses will likely decline, along with the corresponding federal, provincial, and municipal tax revenues, undermining the buoyancy of Whistler's vibrant tourist accommodation. I have a couple points to talk about.
Have to wrap up. We're well over time, so
Okay.
just
Well,
you'll have an opportunity.
provided my information, and there's some questions on there that people could have a look at.
Okay, you'll have an opportunity during members' question time. So thank you for that. We are going to hear now from the Canadian Dental Association, and Mr. Aaron Burry, please.